On everybody, Tactical Grizzly Bear here. Last week, I put up a video on what to do with the dead after the shit hits the fan. And I got a comment from Jarhead6, brother from the Marine Corps. All right, and in his comment, he stated that, you know, in your community, you're going to have women and children. And it's best not to expose them to this kind of violence where you're cutting heads off and putting them on pikes and everything else. He said, you know, you and I, we're combat veterans. We've seen death, all right? Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever we've been, all right? We're desensitized to that, all right? But these children, it can be very traumatic. It can have adverse effects on them in growing up. He's also stated that, you know, he thinks that teaching morals and principles, also having some kind of religion, religious teachings, is the best way, and that, you know, when marauders come, we'll be able just to be able to protect ourselves. All right. Now, with that being said, I'm in no way disagreeing with what Jarhead6 said. I totally agree with you, brother. All right, to a certain extent. All right. After this shit hits the fan, it's war. I mean, that's what it is. It is war. And, you know, when we went over to Iraq, all right, Afghanistan, there were children from that land who were exposed to this. All right? Shit hits the fan here. Our children are going to be exposed to this. You can't hide that from them. They're going to be exposed to a certain amount of violence. They're going to be exposed to what war really is. Especially now, I hope that, you know, you have a community. I hope that I have a community. And I hope we never get attacked. Because then everything will be great. But the fact of the matter is that someone at some point might attack us. And if one group attacks us, then it's pretty much safe to say that there are other groups out there. And that the threat of being attacked is an everyday thing. So, you know, I totally agree with what you said about teaching morals, okay, and teaching principles and even religious teachings. I 100% agree with that. You have to keep some sort of normalcy in your community. All right, so when it comes to kids in my community, someone's going to be designated as the teacher. Every day, that teacher is going to come up with lesson plans for the children and teach math and science and history and everything else. When it comes to morals, or difference between right and wrong, all right, that's up to the parents, that's up to the guardians, the people that are teaching these children, that are raising these children, all right. When it comes to religion, you know, I'm not a religious person, okay? I went to Catholic school, you know, I was freaking baptized as a Baptist, okay, when I was a teenager, all right? I was very into religion. I took a bunch of religion classes when I was in high school, okay, of different religions. I've even read, okay, and freaking studied Buddhism. I got a Buddhist book right there about the Dalai Lama and everything else. And, you know, I'm not a religious person, but I'm fascinated with religion. So when it comes to this new world, this violent, shit hit the fan environment, I personally believe, yes, all right, if I've got to freaking set some sort of example, when we sit down for dinner, you damn right, I'm going to freaking bow my head, I'm going to say a prayer, Lord, bless this food, whatever it may be. And I'm going to expect my children and the children of the community to see that. On freaking certain days, whether it be Sunday or be just any, whatever day it is, if we can't tell what day it is, whatever day it is, okay, there's going to be a religious leader designated in our community. And that religious leader not only is going to hold some sort of religious ceremony, okay, whether it be Mass on Sundays or church or whatever you want to call it, but he's going to be the person to go to, okay, that can counsel people on morality, counsel people and talk to people, maybe even go to some sort of confession. All right? I mean, these are things that are going to have to be issued out and argued upon in your community and in my community and in communities all over America after the shit hits the fan. All right? But again, I totally agree with you. But when it comes to sheltering your kids, you're not going to be able to shelter them. You're not. Because here's my point on this is that, you know, if you shelter your kids, every time something bad happens, you push them into a dark room and tell them earmuffs, okay? And they never hear anything and never see anything that's happening in this shit hit the fan environment. Remember, this isn't right now. This isn't the normal world, okay, where you know, everything is you know, I mean, not everything is grand, but everything is normal, okay? And people are able to live together and everything else in harmony, and nobody's attacking anybody, or, you know, for the most part, okay? We're talking about after a major catastrophe that has just totally destroyed America or something like that. And you're in this community trying to rebuild, all right? You can't shelter your children because at some point your children are going to lead your community. Your children are going to grow up and they're going to lead your community. You need to be able to train them in not only freaking history and math and science and stuff like that, but there's going to be new curriculum, okay, at the school. All right? Hand-to-hand combat, you know, firearms training, military tactics, infantry tactics, okay? I mean, this is, again, things have changed, all right? The new school curriculum is not only just going to be math and science, you're going to freaking put in freaking military tactics and everything else with that. At least I hope you would. Because again, at some point your children are going to take over as leaders of your community, and you want them to be prepared. You can't shelter them from this violence. Hell, here's another scenario. You're in your community. You're doing everyday things. One day you look out onto your perimeter and you see two children, boy and a girl, 7 and 9, clothes tattered, malnourished, walking towards your community. You take them in. The violence that they have seen, you have no idea. They may have seen their parents killed right in front of them. Do you want them to see that? No, I don't want my children to see that. I don't want people in my community's children to see that. But the fact of the matter is that it may happen. And you can't shelter them from that. You can't baby your children, especially after some sort of catastrophe like this. They're going to have to buck up. And they're going to have to take charge. And you're going to have to take charge of them taking charge. You know? One suggestion that I have is literally, I mean, in your community, after the shit hits the fan, you have something happen. After it's all over, something violent happened. A gang of marauders come and attack you. You take care of that, you survive that. Afterwards, you gather the children together. And you talk to them about it. You talk to them about their feelings about it. What happened? Are you okay with this? What was going through your mind when everything was going on? What are your concerns about what happened? Now, when I'm talking about, you know, after that marauding band, okay? Because again, my personal opinion, the best way to stop others from attacking you is to do that, is to send them a message and send them a very bloody, disgusting message of, you do not want to go to this community. Now, inside your community, again, It may be perfectly normal, but you want the people outside to think that you are some crazy motherfuckers, that you are just freaking, you are willing to freaking take people's heads and put them on pikes. You're willing to freaking hang people for what they do to you in your community. You don't want those people outside your community to come into your community. You know, so I fully believe that that's what you should do. Now, I am in no way saying, okay, grab a child and be like, hey, Jimmy, check this out. No, look at it. Look at it. I'm not saying that, okay? Don't do that. I understand. Don't do that. Don't expose them to something like that, okay? But the fact of the matter is that you can still very discreetly do these kind of tactics, these horrific things to people, and keep it away from your children. Again, I said put it out on the perimeter. First off, kids in my community aren't going anywhere near the perimeter because that's where they are most likely to get snatched up. That's where they're most likely to get kidnapped. They will have designated areas that they are allowed to be in. Now, does that always work? I mean, we see it in movies. Kids run off all the time. But, you know, if you have some sort of system, you can do these kind of tactics and not expose these children to that too much. But again, I stress, this is shit hit the fan. They're going to be exposed to things like this. And then there's no way possible that you can shelter your children and your women from this. All right? There's no way possible. Because you're going to need them to help you when something happens. And the best way to do that is to have them exposed to a certain point of the things that go on. Whether they be the normal everyday things to the violent things. All right? We went to Afghanistan. We went to Iraq. All right? The children that are in Iraq and Afghanistan, and as far as I'm concerned, okay, vice their culture, all right, they were still normal children, but they saw violence every day. They saw people die every day. They eventually, like us, became desensitized to that violence. So, as far as I'm concerned, that might be the best thing for these communities to do. Don't shelter your children. Expose them. Because at some point, you're not going to be able to lead anymore, and they're going to need to be taken over.